Hello and welcome into Looking Up With Laird here on Sorare TV. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined as always by Harry Trades and Sam Tighe today to add 4 more names to the Sorare Data watch list of players who are looking up. Gentlemen, we had some mixed bags last week. I don't even want to really go through them because it's not as fun to talk about players who didn't score 100 after we put them on the list. And so I think we should just dive right in. Harry, I'm going to let you go first, if only because Sam only had one choice as of like 10 minutes ago. And so because I feel like you were a little more conviction on your picks here, the floor is yours.
Okay, so for my first pick, we're going to go into Scotland, actually. Still under 23, but we've got a striker called, I assume you pronounce his second name, something along the lines of Mika Biereth, Biereth, Mika.
Are you spelling Mika?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
There he is.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that one when I shouldn't have. But yeah, this is a player that has kind of flown around I've had a little WhatsApp group from like old FI days with a load of players who play Sorare, and a couple of the guys in there have basically owned this guy for a little while since he had his mints whilst he was on loan in the Eredivisie, and has struggled with injuries for a while. I will add he is on loan from Arsenal. So this situation is, Arsenal have loaned him to 2 clubs now, Motherwell being the second one. I think it was like a 500k loan. But yeah, like I said, struggle with injuries. But every time he's played for Millwall, he's scored. Hasn't started yet, I believe. And played last night. Millwall got battered by Aberdeen, which was kind of a bit of a shock, actually, because Aberdeen have been a bit poor themselves. And he came on at halftime, got a goal, scored an assist, I think, the game before that. And he just seems to be in the right place at the right time for Millwall. He weren't able to score in the Eredivisie, which was quite interesting. Hence, nobody really cared about him. But yeah, now he's at Motherwell, and I just think his time's sort of coming in that sense. And it's hard to foresee what he's capable of in 90 minutes because we've not seen it, right? But what I'm seeing off the bench is quite interesting. I think he's only still 20, so he's got like crazy amount of years eligibility. There isn't any super rares. There's like 35 rares, however many limited. I think he's at like $10 or so. It's just like a weird, I don't know, just like a weird sort of forgotten. Like we speak about this, don't we? When players kind of don't get minted for whatever reason, they just get forgotten about. And I think in the under 23 world, on top of him not being able to play injury wise, he's just somebody that's gone under the radar. But from what I'm seeing and from what the highlights I've seen of him, he's big, he's strong, and he seems to just be in the right position a lot of the time. And playing in a league where, no disrespect, you'd be hoping like an Arsenal sort of under 23, under 21 player, you go in here and you want to go do something because, he's probably not going to make it at Arsenal. Let's be just honest about that. So it's one of them where, Arsenal are going to want to try and sell him for X amount of money. If he's playing well in this league, you never know, where that move could be. I know he wasn't as successful actually in the Eredivisie, but again, injuries, whatever that was. But I think he's a very, very interesting player, and yeah, he's no Haaland, obviously, in that sense, scoring wise and whatever. But I think for the price, it's just an interesting little career path to follow, I think.
Are Motherwell not minted? Like, why wouldn't he have maybe just mispictured it?
Yeah, I think they might have signed him pretty late, potentially. I don't know. But yeah, it is interesting why he doesn't have Motherwell mints. It happened last year with Callum Slattery, or maybe the year before. Like I have one of his cards and he like kind of skipped a year or something, or he was late. And I don't know. Motherwell seem to have situations. But yeah, we don't know his AA game, really. Other than he just seems to just do things when he's on that pitch. And he hasn't really been given a chance to start 90 minutes. I think this next game, I'd be shocked if he didn't start coming off the bench last night and scoring. And then it's just where, can he kick on from there? Their fixtures look pretty good in the next sort of 5. Well, barring that Celtic game, I think they're all, fixtures where, if he's playing, even if he's on the bench, he seems to do something for you. So, I think it's an interesting one. Like I said, low mints. It's a weird one, but just a name to put out there, into the universe.
Sam, how do you feel about per 90 stats for a player that's never played 90 minutes?
It's tough, isn't it? It's tough. Actually, my main takeaway from all that was that we all need to chip into a crowdfunder to buy Motherwell a bloody camera. What's going on? Why do they always have these problems? Need to buy these. Need to buy them a camera. The 90 stats are presumably pretty useless for this guy. Everything is completely warped, so I have no idea what to take from it other than every time he steps off the bench, he does something, which is exactly what Harry said.
I mean, even the AA stats, I assume they're all like this big chance created was probably his assist. I noticed in that first match, 16 AA in 35 minutes against Hibs back in the beginning of the season, I guess. See, he was around at the beginning of the season. I don't know what. But yeah, that's a tricky one with having just no idea. Yeah, it's another one.
Laird,
just having no idea what he could do in more than 35
last
minutes.
Week, I think it was, you showed us a player that you were like, why doesn't this guy play more? And it was just like every time he plays, it's like 80, but he rarely plays. Was it this guy?
I don't think it was this guy. Which amazing is that there was one of those weird Sorare things that when I pulled his page up, I was like, I've seen this face before. Like, I know that face from Sorare. I had no idea this was his name, but I've definitely seen that face. Probably some terrible offers I've gotten that I should have accepted, apparently, way back when I was offered. But.
It's just not much to say, is it? Like, it's one of them where it's one of them where, like, if I see him starting next game, and it's just going to be interesting to see, what's going to happen over the next few if he does get those starts, which it seems like he deserves. And yeah, it's just one of them where he's out there now. People know about Mika.
Yeah. Surely these buys were as soon as he. Is that the jersey mint? No, not number 184. But yeah, looking up, I guess.
Look it up.
Sam, you have somebody I may have heard of who may have started a match for their current club at any point?
Should we start with the one that I definitely had before we came on recording? Musa Sissako plays for the Belgian club that I don't. Well, they're newly promoted. I still don't really know who they are. Musa Sissako. Around these parts, he is nicknamed "My Happy Accident," which is that phrase is usually reserved for parents who are politely telling their children that they weren't planned, but they're happy and delighted that they came anyway. To be clear, I'm not Musa Sissako's father. I just happened to have one of his cards on Sorare.
I'm glad you cleared that up, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because there could have been some misconceptions.
Yep.
Easily could have been my son. Basically, he's my happy accident because he was just bunged into a deal that I made a couple of months ago as a bit of a bonus, really. Marcolelli, the legend, if you're out there and watching, shouts out to you. I sold him a Reynoso. I took Reynoso off the market just to give Marcolelli a couple of days to basically make some sales so that he could do the deal. As a thank you for that patience, he chucked in Sissako. He just returned from Russia, I think an ill-fated spell in Russia, and it just landed back in Belgium with this newly promoted side. Absolutely not a clue what to expect from him. Didn't really seem to do a lot over there, did he? I don't know. Obviously, over the last season and a half, a lot of foreigners in Russia have, obviously had a tough time of it. Sure. Played, not played. Like, I don't think we draw too much from that. But he obviously took a little bit of time to settle in here at the new club and has started the last 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it is. Not bad. Playing as a central centre-back in a back 3, which I usually don't like from an SO5 perspective. I think generally speaking, they fewer actions, less involved, and not necessarily a good thing. It does not seem to be holding Sissako back, who's now played 3 or 4 in a row, has won his spot. He's picked up a decisive along the way and is churning out 50s. And that's not bad because, again, you look at his price and, as someone who's holding him, who doesn't necessarily use him too much, I've been thinking, why isn't this rising? Why isn't this going up? He's now playing. He's churning 50s. He's under 23. At some point, he will hit one of those imaginary thresholds, probably on Sorare data, where he has played enough games in the L15 for him to show up in enough filters and searches where people go, hey, look at him. And I'm waiting for that moment. I'm not going to lie. Although he is in the lineup this weekend for me. He's graduated to that stage of trust where he will be in a rare lineup. So I got given Sissako this summer as a bit of a bonus. Had no idea what to make of it. But it's actually turning out to look quite good.
So he looks like the perfect cap player right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like an L15 of 44, which he hasn't scored. I guess he had that unfortunate match against Orenburg, against the mighty Gabriel Florentin. So obviously he was intimidated by that, which got him down to a 6. But since then, otherwise has some phenomenal scores lately in terms of that cap. And then upcoming fixtures against Kortrijk, Eupen, Anderlecht's a little tough, Charleroi, and then Ghent, who knows? Like those are really attractive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice.
It seems like one of those where he should have a big pick score for this weekend, but maybe he doesn't because actually let's make it look good for the 240.
I'll take a look. He's okay. I think he's a C on mine.
I'm guessing his scoring history is not great because it obviously includes those. Where is he here? Oh no, that's not him. We don't even have him.
Sissako, isn't it?
It's Sissako, yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Harry.
Yeah, it's a C on mine.
Yeah, it's the scoring history that is the problem. And as we know, like this is one of those things that we know better because like these scores are not his current team. And yeah, I think there's a great shot. This is another one where he should have cards, like new cards, because RWDM.
Molenbeek are on the platform, yeah.
Yeah.
The one with this for me, he's getting good scores considering they're not winning games of football and not keeping clean sheets.
They're dreadful.
They're not great, but that's the issue then. It's like, are they going to ever be good in that sense? And when I mean good, I mean, are they going to keep clean sheets for him to get that, not minus 14 or not minus 18 if you've got 2 goals conceded, no clean sheets? They're big points to not get, if that makes sense. And they're 12th. They're not bottom of the league in that sense, but they do seem to be conceding. So, yeah, if that changes, then you've got a really interesting card. You're looking at 30 AA, in most games, quite comfortably as well, without decisive. So, if you know Belgium, I don't know this team well enough to know if things are going to change in that sense. But I'd assume a team that's just got promoted probably won't, unless they're USG from a couple of years ago, went on, I think they won the league, didn't they? The year they got promoted, maybe. But regardless, they still conceded goals. Everyone concedes goals in Belgium. And it's just part of the game.
Yeah, I'm not sort of suggesting that this team are gonna find their feet over the course of the season and he's gonna start churning out clean sheets. I'm not really expecting that. But you don't need that. For what he's producing right now, he doesn't actually need to get any better. With a bit of XP bonus, he is securing 50. He is doing about 1/5 of the job that you need him to do in cap, and he's running pretty damn cheap. His good upside because he's under 23. So if he would make that leap, or he did just play 15 games in a row and fill out that search on Sorare data, there is upside for his price to rise. I have no idea why he hasn't got any cards yet. That might be coming. But yeah, we'll see. This team, they're owned by Leon's ownership, I think, because Ernest Nuama from Nordsjælland, he actually signed for this team and then was loaned to Lyon, I think, due to FFP regulations or something. But obviously, when Nuama made the big move to Lyon, he's technically signed for this team, and it's because they're owned by the same person or company or whatever. So there's a link there, and obviously, you just brought up USG, Harry, who are obviously owned by the same people as Brighton, and that helped fuel something very early. They have a similar leg up to an extent, which may prove useful. We don't know.
Jeff
I'm
and
not sure
Adelaide
being linked
plays
beyond
for
these
these
days
as
is
well.
good.
Jeff, yeah, that's his
The
full
Jeff.
name, the Jeff. So he was definitely like in my thinking here, and the reason, so he's also basically churning 50s on a very small sample size, and I was going to bring him up as well, but I didn't like the price. Basically, Sissako is cheap. The Jeff is, considering you're still buying into something that's an if or a maybe, I wasn't quite as convinced by the risk level on the price.
It's kind of amazing how many cards Sissako has, despite not having cards for the last literally 3 years? 2 years? Like these
2
are the
years,
most
those, yeah.
recent. So he doesn't have 2022, 23, or 23, 24s. So I guess he might get them, but I think this is like the perfect cat player.
Yeah.
Like straight up perfect. Especially with this upcoming, at least these next 3 of the next 4 are really favorable. And yeah, I think it's good shout, Sam. I'm looking at the floor of $74. I'll move to pounds so you guys know what you're talking about here. 61 pounds. It's 17, just under 18 pounds was the last sale yesterday. So
yeah, the
floor
floor
seems
is
a little inflated.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not been there at all. Like, trust me, I've been monitoring this potential sale for a while. I might need to rethink that, but like the floor last week was like where the last sale was.
Yeah,
I don't know. I do not know why it skipped up.
My guess is that all of them got bought and someone had one and they were like, I'm going to put it on for 91. And someone's like, I'm going to undercut that for 90. And then someone's like, I'll go to 60. It'll definitely sell at 60.
Okay. We'll take a look at have you got the price? Have you got expired listings on the price graph for Rare? Because that will be like, it will be so far out of line with what the floor is.
That's funny. One expired at 21 and then sold. Was that the same card? No. But let's see what $291 someone tried to go for. Is that the?
I mean, I don't know what that is.
Mint.
I do not know what that is, but expired listings there around the $20 mark. That's what I've been looking at the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, these are limiteds that are selling around the price of the rares right now that are expired. So expired listing is always a fun one. I love that shout, Sam. Maybe I'll go buy one. I'm in the mood to burn money. Anyway, Mr. Trades, what do you got for us?
Not got any Ren cards to buy, lad? No?
There are plenty to buy. I got a new collection working anyway.
So we're going to go to the Spanish second division with Andorra for a player called Ivan Gil, or Gil. Long lost brother of the one, the only Carlos.
Nacho? Oh, yeah.
Now, maybe long lost cousin we'll go with.
Okay.
So yeah, this kid was signed from Espanyol in 2021, I believe. 5'6", number 10, playing in Spain is just a recipe for, success on Sorare, right? Of course, he takes set pieces. You don't have a 5'6" player on the field, unless he's technically incredible. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of football, I guess, really. And yeah, over the last couple of games, he's producing some really interesting all-round scores, which caught my eye this last weekend against Levante at home. Before that, was in and out of the side, a couple of sub appearances. There is definitely a lack of DAs. You go back a little bit, there's some goals in there, creeping. I think the third, like if you go right back, I think he had like a 40 AA. Like, this, it's not very, like he's not doing it every, week in, week out. He's not Matt O'Reilly. He's not a Jude Bellingham, obviously. But we're talking about a £1/$ limited card here, who's under 23. We always say that, the Spanish second division, the Bundesliga, second division, they all get overlooked at the end of the day. And they do. Like, a lot of people just don't have time to research into those leagues. And it's just as simple as that. And they'll see whoever, O'Reilly, they'll see, the cream at the top of it and just think that's all there is. But on given game weeks, you can get some bargains. And, he's playing for PK's Andorra. I don't know if that means anything really, like exciting project, maybe, whatever. I will add, there is a downside. He did miss a penalty last night in the Copa del Rey. Yeah.
Oh, no.
And they lost to a team that I don't know what league they're in, but it was a very interesting situation. They lost 1-0 away from home. He didn't even start the game, came on, missed a pen 67th. So at least he was taking the pen. Let's just say.
Well, not anymore, buddy.
Maybe not anymore. Yeah. PK's going to sack him. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he's a pound. I think he's a pound. I bought him for my road to glory. Like, I don't know. Are we going to get 35 A's off him every weekend? Probably not. But he takes set pieces, which is big, obviously, as we know. Well, that can have an effect on player scores. If he starts adding DAs, then we're talking, aren't we? Like that. The thing with this type of player, like I've seen highlights of him, and he's taking shots. Like, it's not as if like he doesn't shoot or anything. It's not as if he's incapable of scoring goals. He's not just a corner taker or whatever. He is in and around that area in that sense. He's knocking on the door, I think. And if Andorra were in a bit of a tricky spell as far as results were going, so if your team's not scoring goals, you're not going to score goals. So at the end of the day, if your teams are winning, chances are you're scoring goals, and you have a better chance of getting decisives. It's just how this game works. And I think at his price, I think it's an interesting one to keep an eye on. And yeah, even if he doesn't get that decisive, it still seems like he's able to get really, really good AA scores, which keeps you in it. If you're not getting decisives, if you're still giving me 25 AA or whatever it is, 35 sometimes, then you're just gonna play for me. Like, you're gonna be in my midfielder slot or extra slot. It's just one of those things. But yeah, like, it's interesting. They lost that game to Valladolid, and he's still like 25. He's a midfielder, so you'd have lost a couple of points there on goals conceded. So I don't know. But then obviously there's games beyond that where he's not getting those green scores, which you're going to find. There is inconsistencies, but I think it's a very interesting one to keep an eye on for that price.
So the penalty situation is a little odd overall with Andorra. It looks like this Scheidler missed one recently, and this Lobete, that's the last 15, so it could have been last season for all I know. But the last 5 is certainly just that one. So who knows if yesterday's miss has any bearing. It does seem like he's taking a larger share of set pieces in the last 5. We don't have a game-by-game breakdown yet, which I would love, because you just never know, like, he just happened, there just is a game where all the corners are one on the right side or left side, whatever it is. You just don't know if it's like truly a side split or what it is. But the reason why we talk about set pieces so much, and you're like, the decisives can come, every corner is a realistic opportunity at a decisive. And so if you have a player who's taking them, and even if they don't score, you can get an attempted assist if they are able to get a shot off. Usually not a big chance created, but you get the penalty area entry. They're great. Like, that's why set piece takers all around scores are usually high. And like I said, they have every opportunity for a decisive. And so it doesn't even have to be in a good matchup. Like, you could have a bad matchup, you just happen to win a corner. I mean, we see bad teams score off against good teams on corners all the time, or any sort of set piece. And so I'm with you. I think at least the recipe for decisives is there. And you just have to hope that the Andorra forwards and center backs aren't also 5'6", and that they can do something in the box. And yeah, sky's the limit. I love it. I like it. And I mean, similar to Sam's, it's a classic situation of a low L15, but a new situation. And so, not to say he's going to score 60s and 70s every game, but those are like really, really strong AA scores. And even cutting them in half, he's still way outperforming his L15. And so just, it's okay to play U23 players in cat mode.
Yeah.
That's fun. I like that, Harry.
Yeah.
You even gave us a warning about him a week ago, and I'm still fired up about it.
We support Andorra now.
That's right. This is an Andorra Stan show.
We have adopted the team. We're going to take a family trip to see them, aren't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
In our burgundy shirts.
Yeah. I missed that memo. I've been to Andorra. It's just a ski slope. I'm sure the people there won't appreciate me saying that.
There's got to be a football pitch somewhere.
Well, there's 2 actually, because they've got a national stadium.
Mm.
So,
yeah,
all
that's
right,
where
It's a ski
What's his name
slope
plays, right?
and two football stadiums.
Iker Alvarez.
Yeah,
There you go.
Just doesn't play for Villarreal anymore. He's been dropped.
Well, we know where we can see him play now. It just happens to be in Andorra. Anyway, Sam, who is the one that you've been thinking of for weeks and you just finally realize you're going to bring it onto the show?
Yes, that's definitely the case. My emergency solution to my sheer lack of work rate and preparation is Rodrigo Bentancur of Tottenham Hotspur, who is now back from an ACL injury, and it's good to see him back. Fun fact, I'm modelling my beard after him. So, shouts out Rodrigo. He's actually shaved in real life, for what it's worth. So, boo! Not a good start. He looks much neater. Looks much neater now in real life because and we saw that because he stepped off the bench a couple of weeks ago or last week. Last game was it? Yeah, last game he managed to return, which was a good moment for him, a great moment for Spurs, and a nice reminder that Bentancur's really good. He's a really good player. And while he will obviously need to try and work his way into this Tottenham team now, who, have been largely unchanged and for good reason, they're unbeaten and they're currently top of the Premier League. Obviously, they're going to have to start moving some pieces around at some point. And specifically in midfield, they're going to lose some players to the Africa Cup of Nations in January and February, which will probably terrify Postecoglou because it will definitely result in the loss of Ibasuma. And likely Pape Sarr as well. So there's literally two of the three. So there's just Maddison there, and he'll need new players. Obviously, Højbjerg is kicking around. Skip is kicking around. But Bentancur is an entirely different level. And I'd go as far as to say that peak Bentancur is certainly better than Sarr and probably better than Bissouma, although Bissouma has been amazing this season. So, it's a debate. But that's the quality. And the scores on SO5, over recent or previous years can attest to his ability to find those high notes. As you can see, like some pretty damn high ceilings on that stuff.
Yeah.
And while you may need to play the waiting game a little bit over the course of November, obviously from December, Premier League games, thick and fast, Spurs will rotate in the midfield. You'll get to know the patterns. Bentancur will work his way in. And then in January and February, when the other two go away, he'll be the first name on the team sheet there because they will have nobody else. And that's his chance. So I find this very intriguing because I love the previous scores. I love the player. And I think there's an opportunity for him coming up in about a month's time. It's up to you as to whether or not you jump in right now or you wait a month. I don't know what the right answer is. We never really do. But he is back. He is excellent. And he will soon be needed by Spurs.
I love it. When fit, he also has, I was trying to pull that up here, plenty of international utility as well.
Oh yeah, the World Cup scores were outrageous.
Yeah. Like he plays really well everywhere he goes or everywhere he plays. And so, I think there's a perfect example of what we do. And I like the shout about Africa Cup of Nations because I feel like there are enough people who are thinking about it, but they're not. It's more the, oh man, I'm losing my player, and not who's going to benefit. And Bentancur is obviously the prime example of a player who should, once he's up to speed, should slot right in, as you said, first team on the team sheet, at least in that midfield. And when it's a team as good as Spurs have been this season, that's a huge opportunity. And has his rare price moved much? Not really.
No, it's quite reasonable, really, considering like how he can score and the situation that he's in, and the Uruguay utility and the scores, and Uruguay are on the up, under Bielsa,
they're very good,
looking really good, especially those midfielders. Like they're going to get so many actions. So there's a lot of ways that this can pay off. Actually, I hadn't even roped in the international utility. You did that for me, Laird. So thank you.
It feels like there's just too many breaks now that I'm like, we can't ignore it. And I just know that he is very good with them. So it's not one of those where he's very good for the club and then the break comes and it's like, oh, they don't really play. It's like they have international utility, but they don't play and they're good. So that also helps that it's not like they're. I was gonna say it's not like he's going off and playing for Andorra, but sorry, Harry. I think that's a great shout right there. There's really no one else, I guess, that he's. I mean, not that there's nobody. I had no idea Oliver Skip was still there, by the way.
Oh yeah, he still comes on for 10 minutes and sort of chugs around a bit at the end of games. But the quality drop off is really obvious with Spurs' midfield. Like when they try to finish the games up, like 2-0 up against Fulham, and get to 80 minutes or whatever it was, and they start to bring on Skip and Højbjerg. Like the quality nosedive there. No offense to them, like on the ball, it's so clear. And like Postecoglou got to the end of that Fulham game where they comfortably won 2-0. And he was like, they were like, oh, great result, Ange. And he was like, yeah, I really wasn't impressed with our second half performance. And what he meant by that, I think, was the subs were rubbish.
Right. Yeah.
and he's just been waiting for Bentancur to come back to give him that extra element, to give him that competition, that other option. And it looks like they're getting him in good time here before he's genuinely needed for December and then definitely January. So that one's timed out really nicely for Spurs. Everything just seems to be working out really well for them at the moment.
Is there any, I'm struggling to see it, but is there any chance that come March, I guess, they play 3 of them there, like Sar, Bissouma, and Bentancur? Is it just not, is that too defensive for Ange?
I would say at this stage, no. I would just put Sar on notice and say, like, you're under threat.
Yeah.
Bissouma is fine. Maddison is obviously like, he's been their best player this season, probably. So that's not to worry. But Sar will then, he's been really good, but he'd be the one that's in danger.
Yeah.
When I look at Spurs, I see 9 key players and then Pap Sar and Richarlison. And
Richarlison was the one I was thinking if you're going to sit anyone.
Yeah. I mean, he works in and out, doesn't he, with Brennan Johnson, and like I don't know how much patience they have left with Richarlison. Unfortunately, we'll see over the coming months. But Spurs feels like 9 and 2, 9 key players, 2 up in the air, and Bentancur is essentially vying for one of those spots. And Looking Up With Laird alumni. Brennan Johnson is vying for the other one.
I mean, from a historical standpoint, you would think that Bentancur would turn into one of those. It turns from 9 to 10, that he becomes one of those that's locked in. It's going to take some time for him to recover. Yeah,
probably, maybe. We'll see. There's lots up in the air over December and January, so we'll see.
Right. Well, even further with, like you said, with AFCON coming, that kind of pulls it all in. Love it. All right. As a reminder, if you are interested in the players that get put on this watch list, we're now up to 120 players, 316 followers. Just go to Sorare Data. Looking Up With Laird on Sorare TV is the name of the watch list. And as you see, we add everyone to the list during the show. The show should be going out. I actually have no idea when it goes out. Fridays?
Don't
know. We don't do it. So the point I'm trying to make is that you will get the updates of the watch list before the video goes out. So feel free to subscribe to that. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you very much for that, and good luck to everyone out there.